Thanks, Freak. Joining us at the analyst desk, we've got Dyrus from a victorious TSM. Nice win over compLexity there, as Freak was saying, very clean. That moves you to 3-1 on the weekend, and also puts you into a 3-way tie for second, just a half a game behind Dignitas, which ultimately could turn into a 4-way tie for first, depending on the outcome of today's final game. How does that feel to be back up in the pack and in contention for the top spot?
It's great. I wasn't even paying attention to it all this time. All I care about is us getting better as a team, and we're prepared to lose as much as possible. Of course, we lose as much as possible to the top teams, and then they lose to compLexity and EG, so we get scared, and it's like, oh, wow, you know, we still got it. It's just we got a little bit of tinkering to do.
Yeah, you're extremely consistent because you're 9-0 versus the bottom teams, whereas every other top team just seems to struggle with them. Like, why do you think that is?
That just... Like, before that just sounds like sad. You're 9-0 against the bottom tems. Congratulations.
I know, right?
You're the king of the losers. No offense. They're really good. Like, they can beat Dignitas C9. Like, what do we know, you know? We have to learn the secrets from them. Maybe we just got to go back to our NA roots of NA meta. Good old compLexity NA meta, solo queue. But anyways, like, it's great because it gives us more breathing room and we don't get relegated. That's always nice. We get to keep our jobs as long as we're doing our job and, you know, just getting better.
And out of those top teams, besides TSM, which two do you think are in that top 3 if the pack does break away?
In terms of, like, teams in general, like the best top 3?
Yeah, out of the top.
Well...
We'll include TSM.
Okay. Right now, we're there, but we're kind of not, you know?
Okay,
like,
we'll remove TSM.
Well, all right. So right now it goes by Dignitas because they have best Baron shot calls in the game right now. Ironically, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And then LMQ, they aren't afraid. They're never afraid, and that's something. They have the confidence. They don't have lack of confidence. They come into the games and they're never afraid. And lack of confidence will, you know, hold you back, like internationally and even on NA stage. For example, I guess I'll use our Curse game. I feel like when they played against us, they could have easily beaten us, but I felt there was a slight lack of confidence in some parts of their play, so they barely lost to us. But then, you know, after they had their ordeal, I guess they just, you know, sweeped everyone else, and that was their hard team, CLG, 2 other teams, and I'm sorry, I have bad memory, but
that's
you know,
okay.
that
Okay.
Just like LMQ, there's confidence there, and it's really strong. As for the third team, I need time to think about it, but I guess I'll just put TSM there for now.
Yeah, all right, I like that. Now, moving into specifically this game, I want to talk about the Gragas pick that you pulled out, mostly because now at this point in the split, Gragas is 2-7. That's with that win that you just picked up. So prior to that, 1-6, and you had played him once before to no avail. So why were you comfortable going back onto that champion and looking for a win with him?
Just picking a solid top that can, you know, support my team. Usually I'd be picking like Jax and trying to like carry the game on my own, and we wouldn't know how to play towards that style. I picked Gragas because he's just a strong, solid top laner, and regardless of records for any champion in the game, in the end it all depends on the player. Like, you could put Koreans on literally the low-tier champions and they'd have a high win rate because they play it well, you know? It's not always about the champions and draft, but also the players themselves.
Yeah, it might also have something to do with figuring out the right build and things along those lines and how to play it. Because when Lucian first came out, all the Koreans were playing it and they were losing with him over and over again. And now he's picked pretty much every game, and last patch, every game again. So I think Gragas might be in that same vein.
Yeah, in that kind of aspect, like what you just said, that's a perfect example. Not knowing the item builds, people kind of figuring out. And Gragas is the kind of champion that it's kind of more on the player, because there's 3 skill shots and 1 kind of like auto attack cancel, but it's, like I said, it's mostly on the player, skill shots.
So there's an interesting, staying on that same vein of the item builds, an interesting thing you did with Gragas here in this game was that you built him slightly more tanky than you did last time. You picked up the Zhonya's instead of a Rabadon's, but not quite as tanky as some people, going with the Frozen Fist and the Randuins right out the gate. So do you think that that's the kind of middle ground that Gragas should sit in?
It's a work in progress. I think it's a preference, and every player should go their own build. Any build can work, full tank, full AP, you know, in the middle. Like, it's how you feel that, you know, fits towards your team and you as a player of what you like best.
All right, and you've been talking about TSM. You guys are middle of the pack for a while. Now you guys have just started getting up there, and like he said, 3-way tie for second right now, possibly 4-way tie for first. How much of that is Loco Doco? Come
on. Wins and losses are part of Loco Doco. He's basically our sixth man on the team, along with some others. I don't know if it's been announced yet, but Loco Doco, like, I don't really treat him as like, you know, that extra person, but he's part of our team. When we lose, we all lose together. When we win together, and he's a big part of it.
And what has he done for your play style since he's come on board?
In TSM in general, just me.
You, personally.
So he knows a lot of things in the Korean scene, and he brings the knowledge of, let's say, runes and masteries to me. And how the best top laners in Korea do certain things, that kind of gets relayed over to me. And I'm the kind of player, since for the last 3 or 4 years, I'm not really the innovator, but the only reason why I've been good and I've kept up and I haven't been benched yet is because I'm able to adapt and copy other people. I'm a big copycat.
I like it. It's very honest, to say the least. Now, I want to jump back into the game more specifically. We're going to pull a replay up here. It's about 24 minutes in. It's in the compLexity red jungle, where you guys get a nice 3-0 and then follow it up with the Baron. Just kind of explain to me how you happened upon this situation and then why the calls were made to go for Baron.
So we thought they were going to go for their blue, but they didn't. So my team decided to go for Baron anyways. I wasn't paying attention. They told me TP, but I wanted blue buff, so I need the extra auto. I just TP'd to the closest thing I saw, didn't look at it before. It ulted as soon as I could. Bjergsen messed up and used his Zhonya's in lane before this fight, so he almost died. And I just cleaning up. Like, I didn't really do much there. My team won their 4-on-4, and I won my 1-on-1.
And I think you guys also won Champion Select pretty far out there. They banned 3 junglers, and then they didn't pick a jungler first rotation. Like, what were you guys thinking? You're like, just Jarvan and that's it?
So I guess what teams have noticed against us is that we lose on Jarvan, but it honestly isn't him. Like, it isn't amazing. It's just the whole team in general, and it's kind of inconsistent how we win and lose against certain teams. So when they look at the stats, they're like, oh, they do this or this, and then we come into the game, it's like, that's not what they did last time, you know? But then again, you know, I wouldn't really give any teams Cassidy, and I'm not sure about that.
All right, yeah, that's fair. Now, final question before we move on is the fact that you guys are now sitting here in second place, possibly first. Now, with this 3-1 momentum coming out of Super Week, how are you going to push forward and make sure that you kind of do break away from the pack and move into that top slot?
First of all, we need to catch up with the meta right now. Right now, we're kind of stuck at our early mid-game style, and we're going to move on and, you know, just expand our horizons, you know.
So poetic. Anyway, Dyrus, thank you so much for joining us at the desk, and congratulations on a great Super Week. We've got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll cap off our Super Week with Dignitas taking on Cloud9. Don't hit refresh. You won't want to miss a minute of the action.